So a lot of people have wondered why I won't just let this whole thing go. I lost the eviction case. I should be willing to move on with my life. As if nothing ever happened, or just put this behind me or whatever. But I can't do that. There's a personal matter here, there's a principle here, and I'm just not going to let this go. And here's why. And Brooke, I know you're watching this, so I'm going to address you directly in this video. I've made it a point not to address you directly in videos, and for the most part, I'm going to stick to that. But for this particular video, I'm going to address you. You chose to bother, harass, and single me out for an entire year. You chose to treat me differently than other tenants for an entire year. You chose to make rules for me that you didn't make for other tenants for an entire year. You chose to ignore the complaints about the things I was trying to resolve for an entire year, while treating me like the bad guy for wanting some peace and quiet in my own house. Every time I turned around, I was getting a behavioral notice on my door or something. Not because I did anything wrong, but because I didn't want to allow the upstairs neighbors to pound and stomp and run. And anytime I would try to do something about the noise, like hit the ceiling a few times to get them to stop, you would come after me and treat me like I'm the bad guy. And here's the thing, Brooke. That whole time I was sick. And you knew I was sick. I had a bunch of health issues I was trying to deal with. I still have them now, but they're just not as bad now. And I know you knew about them. Now, I never gave you or Vinny specifics about what my actual specific conditions were. That's true. But you knew I was sick a lot because I told you. And anybody who spent any time around me during most of that whole era could take one look at me and know that I was sick, that I was basically struggling to save my life. Brooke, you saw me every day. You saw how bad a shape I was every single day. I know this because I know that you would see me walk around the apartment complex every day and just struggle like crazy just to be able to muster up enough energy just to walk around the apartment complex a few times. Being half out of breath, back hurting all the time, having all kinds of health issues going on with, I was 500 pounds at that time. My liver was acting up. All kinds of stuff was happening. My face was red all the time. Anybody who took a look at me. So I know that you saw me struggle every single day, and I know that you saw me fight to get better every single day so that I didn't have to die of, heart disease and all the other issues that were popping up on me. I was sick every day. I was fighting every day to make my health better so that I didn't have to drop dead of a heart attack or get a stroke or have some liver failure or something. And you watched me go from somebody who could barely move to slowly but surely work my way to somebody who has somewhat decent health. You saw me go from basically having to waddle down the street every time I walked past your office every day to being able to, walk like a normal man. So you knew I was having issues, and you knew I was doing everything I could to overcome those issues. And all I wanted was some peace and quiet in my own house, the right to confront my neighbors when they're being too loud. But you couldn't even let me have that. During that whole struggle, by the way, I have now lost close to 160 pounds. You still look the same, but we won't talk about that. Every day, I was fighting as hard as I could to improve my health situation. And I had a handful of good people in my corner. I'm not going to mention their names on here because I don't know if they want their names associated with this whole channel. But you people who were supportive of me, you know who you are. You know who you are. But you, Brooke, you weren't supportive of me at all. Those are the people that supported me. Do you know who went out of their way to actually make things harder for me? You did. You know who went out of their way to single me out, to make trouble for me during all that whole time that I was struggling with my health and everything? You did. You know who did everything she could to harass and bother me and make me feel unwelcome in my own apartment, even though I've been quietly paying my rent here or there for 8 years, despite all these struggles I was having? You did. You did that. Despite the fact that I never gave you any reason on earth to frickin' bother me. You went out of your way to bother and harass and target me and do everything you could to make trouble for me. You used your landlord powers to be a bully, all because you don't like me because I'm a former homeless man. And you know that I was a former homeless man. You never targeted other tenants the way you messed with me, Brooke. You didn't have to bother me. You didn't have to go out of your way to harass me. You didn't have to make problems for me. But you did anyway. And this is why I'm going to say again what I've said before, is that you are a piece of human trash. I know that you don't like homeless people, but I'm going to tell you something like this right here. You are a bigger piece of trash than any homeless person I ever met when I was in the streets. That includes the biggest heroin addicts, whatever. Anybody. You're an even bigger piece of trash than them. I know you know a little something about Jesus. So, I'm going to tell you like this here. You know that line that Jesus said, beggars and prostitutes are entering the kingdom of heaven before you do? He's talking to you, Brooke. He's talking to you. Because it's people like you that make the world a harder place to live. So no, I'm not letting this go. Just because I'm leaving Ames, that don't mean I'm going to stop. I am never going to stop until I ruin your career. You used your landlord powers to bother and harass me for a year just because you don't like homeless people and you know I'm a former homeless guy. You never once treated me with anything that even remotely resembles kindness, fairness, anything. And you expect me to let you get away with that stuff. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. You did everything you could to create stress for me at a time where I didn't need you doing that. I didn't know day by day whether I was going to have a heart attack or stroke. I didn't need my landlord messing with me, especially when I've been paying my rent and just trying to be quiet in my own apartment. But you saw fit to do that. You're a bully. That's all you are. And again, I'm going to tell you like this. One of these days, I'm going to get my hands on those emails, Brooke. One of these days, I'm going to have you exposed. You do not belong in the landlord business. You are a frickin' tyrant. If you decide you don't like somebody, you're just going to bother them until they either personally leave or you have them evicted or whatever, whether or not they've done anything wrong in the first place. All that time I was having all those health struggles, and all you were doing was making things harder for me. Knowingly. And willingly. All because you have some personal dislike for me, like I said, because I'm a former homeless man. I mean, we never even had any contact with each other before you became a manager. I knew who you were. I knew what your name was. I knew what you looked like because you'd been around for a lot of years. But we never said more to each other than just a quick hello, hi, how you doing type of thing before you became a manager. So we had no previous history. There was nothing I did that would have caught your attention and made you want to, have some sort of problem with me. But you did. I was fighting for my life that whole time, Brooke. Like I said, I want to keep repeating myself here, but a slew of health issues. Like I said, I know you saw them because I know you saw me struggling just to walk by your office every day. Just to do the little bit of exercise that I could do. But instead of being helpful, or instead of at least leaving me alone, you saw fit to just make trouble for me and harass me. So no, I ain't never going to stop. The fact that I'm leaving Ames doesn't mean a thing. I'm never going to stop until I take you down. We're going to do this legally. We're going to do this within the limits of the law. But I ain't stopping until I take you down. And Vinny, that goes for you too. Speaking of Vinny Linhart, another manager at Haverkamp Properties. It's people like you that make the world a harder place to live. It really is. I don't know what else to say. Just understand that I'm never going to stop coming until I take you down. Within the limits of the law, like I said, but you do not belong in the landlord business. You are too much of a bully. It's just, you don't belong in there. And I'm going to make sure that I oust you from the landlord business one way or the other. That's it.